Welcome, Jaelyn, to Sippin' Sunday, the podcast. I am so excited to have you on. Can you let our listeners know what you're sipping on or what your favorite drink is?
Hey guys, I'm so excited to be on here today. I'm sipping on some water. I gotta stay hydrated, so that's what I'm doing, okay?
Yes. I have water and also some juice because I usually have multiple drinks around at all
Uh-huh.
times.
Okay,
So,
for
yes, excited to have you on. And I think you are the youngest guest as of now. I feel like the first person I had was my student, but she was enrolled in college at the time in her sophomore year, I believe. So I think you're our
uh-huh.
youngest guest now, or you might be tied with her. I can't remember how old she was at the time,
I'm
but this
19.
is exciting. Okay, I'm
Was
gonna
she
reference.
19?
I'm gonna double check because she either was 19 or turning 20. So you still might be the youngest. Very excited about that.
Yay, yay, yay.
So I have you on one because I was on your podcast, so you for sure could talk about that with our listeners. But one because you're in a very unique predicament of
Yeah.
recent high school graduate. You went through 4 years of high school, basically in a pandemic. The
Oh
world's
my God, yeah.
different, all that stuff. So the biggest thing is you did not go straight to college. You didn't go straight into the workforce. You kind of are still figuring it out, which is perfectly fine to be
Yeah.
doing.
Well, I did attend like maybe 2 semesters of college, but I didn't continue those two.
Gotcha.
So
Okay, so
I
you
just
did. Um,
yeah, I did.
and so still just walk us through like what was your senior year of high school wrapping up looking like? What were your thoughts and like just all of how did you get to where you are now?
Okay. So my senior year of high school was the absolute worst. Like, I felt like ever since kindergarten through junior year, oh yeah, your senior year, oh it's gonna breeze by, oh it's gonna be cool. Everybody telling you all these great things, but that didn't happen in my favor per se. So for example, we had a lot of work to do, but not to mention we had like college applications to complete, FAFSA to complete, and also at that time I had like lost a lot of people who I thought were my friends. So I was just going through a whole like I guess a whole change and shift. And with that being said, I would be the first person attending college in my family. So not only was like the college applications hard, but I didn't have like my family didn't know exactly how they went. So I was kind of doing it by myself, along with like people, I mean the teachers at my school too.
Yeah.
And as far as FAFSA goes, I did not qualify for any financial aid money. So that also made it worse because it's like, oh, I really wish I could go to like one of the big schools and this, that, and a third. But realizing that I wouldn't even have help with like my money situation as far as financial aid, it really put a wrench in my decision on if I should go to college and this, that, and a third. So my
Yeah.
senior year
College is
was the
expensive.
worst. Yeah. So that was
Yes.
my senior year. Looking back on it, I was very jaded, and I'm glad I got through it. But after that, was like, you know what? I'm not gonna go to school. I had signed up to go to a community college, and I was like, yeah, I'll just do that. But then I was just like, you know what? I'd rather work. Like, I'd rather just make money, and then I'll decide
Hmm.
whatever. And then something that like everybody should pay attention to is like when you sign. Well, I didn't know this, but when you sign up for like college classes and stuff, like you have to let them know. You have to let them know if you're gonna unenroll or stay. I just
Yes.
thought if you're a no show, then oh well,
Oh,
they're
Jaelyn,
not
that's
gonna
not
like
how it
charge
works.
you. Yeah, and then I kept getting bills to my house. I'm like, why they charging me money? I never went to class. So then I was like, oh my gosh, I think I made a mistake. Like I signed up for these classes, I never went, and they want me to pay like $4,000, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm
A
in a wrench.
valuable
I don't
lesson,
know what to
everybody
do.
listening that is considering school, or even if you're enrolled, if you don't tell them you're dropping out or unenrolling or withdrawing
Yes.
for a semester, you still have to pay.
Yep. So I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? So I paid the money, but then it's like, you paid the money, but are you gonna be able to still do those classes? Like, what's going on? So thankfully for the school that I was attending, the dean was able to like so I like basically I paid for all the classes that I would be attending, and he was able to like give me some new classes,
Yeah,
and I didn't have to pay anything. Like my credit was all everything was already due because I had already paid. So I was very thankful for
gotcha.
that. So that's why I ended up in college when I didn't even want to go, whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my story.
So you enrolled your first for the first semester right when you graduated high school, but you didn't go then,
Yeah,
and
it was
then you
like
started going.
they had one semester that started in the fall. No, they had two semesters starting in the fall 1 and fall 2. So I
Yep.
was able to attend fall 2 semester. So yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
then you were like, "This isn't for me. I know I had to pay this money, and I went, and I did what I could do, but
So
I'm not
I
gonna go."
love no, so I actually really loved college. Like it actually was for me. I realized that like I had a community and that like people will support you. Like if they love your personality and they love what you do, then like you'll be supported and it's like genuine. So I
Yep.
made a lot of friends and stuff, but I just had some like personal issues going on, so I was just like, you know what, I just decided to move to Atlanta to like figure out my life and just stuff like that. So it was more so like personal issues that were going on as
Yeah.
to why I just moved away and like stopped attending college. But yeah, that's why
Okay.
I didn't want to leave. But when you know when you're just going through things and like you know when you're going through things, you just see like one way out, and that was my way out. So I was
Yeah.
like, you know what, I'll just start school over. I know what it takes now, and so that's what happened.
Yeah. Okay. So you did like school, just you weren't sure of the process and all of that because you're first generation student and you didn't necessarily have family support, but you had the people at school helping you at high school. And then when you started at the community college, then you moved, and now you're like, okay, I know
Yeah.
a little bit more than I did last year.
Yep. And my school also helped me realize that I really wanted to do podcasting because it was just an idea and my school brought it to life. So shout out to
Mhm.
Essex Community College because without them, I wouldn't be right here sitting in this chair today. So yeah.
We love it. Yes. And go follow her podcast. Shout out the name. I know we'll bring it back up
Yes,
again, but
it's what you're working with. Yes.
yes, I was a guest on there. I can't wait to hear the episode. And you're
It's
basically
coming
shining
soon.
light. Yes, and you're basically shining light for younger people your age and in high school to understand different career paths and how they can
Yep.
get into different jobs because you really don't know. In my full time job, that is exactly what I do is helping 12th graders just navigate. Okay, what do you want to do? How do you get there? Because
Yeah.
you you just don't know. You really don't know the options that you have. You only see what's in your backyard or the people you're exposed to, but there's so many
Or the
more
core
things.
jobs. Doctor,
Exactly.
firefighter, nurse, this, that, and the third. Yeah. There's other jobs that make the world go round that we don't even know.
Yes.
So yeah.
And so this actually wasn't something that I had sent to you previously, but I just thought about it. With knowing that like there are those core jobs that everybody knows about, and then there's a huge population that doesn't know what they really want to do. How could you see like education being reworked or like college and stuff being reworked so people feel like they have a better understanding of what they want to do before they get there and they feel like it was worth it to go?
I feel like there should be more internship opportunities, especially for like minority because we're kind of like blindsided. We only know like, actor, music, sports, this, that, and the third. That's all that we know. If you got talent, then you'll be able to make it. But I feel like a lot of internships should be like implemented in schools just because you won't know unless you try. So if you do have an internship and you get to see like what this person does day to day, you decide like, do I want to live my life like this? Nah, they just sit in the chair all day. I don't think I really want to do that. Oh, they walk around and they talk to so and so. Oh yeah, I think so I feel like internships for sure. And also just having like people come to the school and talk about what they do as well would really help just help
Yeah.
our students out a lot with what they would want to do in life to make money and to live a satisfying life as well.
And as a recent high school graduate, when those people were coming to talk to you all in school, do you feel like it was helpful and worth it? Because I go in and out of a lot of schools and I just see how people, other adults and other employers come. I feel like high school students can be like ruthless sometimes and very like disruptive in talking. So from your seat as a high school student, like what's the vibe? What is the general population's thoughts about when those types of events do happen?
So I definitely recommend doing it in a smaller setting. I was in this one health
Gotcha.
aid class where my teacher he would invite different people that he knew, and they would come and discuss like what their job was. And our class contained maybe like maybe like 11 students. It was really small. And like when you're in a smaller setting like that, you're able to like you have more respect because not a lot of distraction and stuff. So we were really able to really learn about this person and what they do and like if we had any questions. So definitely a smaller setting, maybe go to each
Yeah.
classroom and talk about it. But also it's just really interesting to hear their story and see like what they went through and how they came from, being the worst student ever to like now they making six figures and it's just like, well, what? So yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, no,
yeah.
that's really true. The smaller settings, because in my head, I'm picturing even just from the movies when they always have
Yeah.
those huge auditoriums full of people. People are throwing stuff. People are yelling, screaming. Like
Yeah.
nobody is under control in that
Yeah, that's not
situation.
gonna work. Because yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna lie. If I was in those bigger settings, I'd be like, bro, what time we leaving, bro? But if I'm in a smaller setting, I'm locked in. Like my teacher looking at me, like, no, I need to lock in because I don't want to be. Oh yeah,
yeah,
you was just thing and making a bad name. So no. So yeah, definitely smaller
yeah.
settings for sure.
So that makes sense. And I completely forgot. My listeners are gonna be like, Amber, you didn't even ask the initial question you always ask people because we just jumped right in. Of
That's okay.
what age do you feel like you became an adult if you reached that age yet? Because again, I know you're 19. That doesn't mean you don't feel like an adult, but
Okay, so I feel like once I feel like I'm a half adult. Do that count?
it does. It does. It's your
Okay.
journey. This is really you make up what you think.
Okay, I feel like I'm a half adult. And when I was living in Jersey, when you're in the northern states, I realized that like teens and stuff, they're like more independent. Like you could get around a little bit more by yourself and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm a half adult because while I was in college, I was also working and I was paying my school tuition and I was
Hmm.
like, paying for me to get to school and this time and third. So in that sense, like financially, I felt like I was an adult because I had to make sure, like I was budgeting my money to make sure that my credit is right, my tuition is paid, I have food to eat
Yep.
for the lunch, I have a way to get to work, like all these things. So yeah, I feel like I'm a
So
half
you
adult.
right
At
now
what
feel like
age?
you're a half
At
adult.
18. Oh, right now, yeah, I still feel like I'm a half adult. I don't pay for look, I'm not as busy as I was in the north because I'm in the south. In the south you gotta drive and
Yeah.
all that. I don't have my license. I'm sorry, but no. So yeah, I still feel like I'm a half adult though, because I still have my
Okay.
my same mindset from when I was up north. So yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. And what made you want to move too? And did you move with your family?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Okay.
I moved with my family. I just for like a change. I feel like I just needed a change. I needed when you live in the north, I feel like it's so fast paced and it's just
Yes.
like, oh, you gotta get to it, you gotta get to it, you gotta get to it. And I felt like I just needed to slow down. Like I need to slow down, figure out what did I want. And I wasn't able to do that. So now that I am like slowed down a lot and sometimes
Yeah. Yeah.
every
Yeah.
day I'm like,
Yeah. In
oh my
Atlanta
God.
for sure.
Yeah, like I'm slowed down a lot. So yeah, I didn't. I knew that slowing down would be, a part of me moving, but I didn't know it was gonna be this slow. No, so yeah,
And so I like really commend you and you thinking these things and feeling this way already is good. Like you're gonna for sure be set up for success in like the years to come as you do continue growing in adulthood because
yes,
I
thank you.
can't say that when I was 19 I was thinking about like slowing down or like not even in a bad way, but it was like I was in college, so it was just embracing the college experience, meeting new people, learning new things, but I don't really feel like I ever thought about like how do you take care of yourself and not just in like the basic daily tasks, but we talk about mental
Yeah,
health a lot, we talk about self-care, and I just don't think that those are things that were spoken about of how you do it for yourself. I was
yeah.
knowledgeable about people going through those things and how do you assist people through it, but not really for myself.
How you be
And I,
in it and contain like,
yeah,
yeah, help yourself. Yeah, I understand that.
yeah. And I also don't feel like I had to have any like crazy life changing, struggling things that happen so early on. And I feel like people that are younger are experiencing things like that earlier just
Yeah,
because of the way the world is shifting. But like things just have really changed a lot. So,
Yeah.
average 18-year-old can be experiencing the same things as a 20 something 30-year-old just because of how the world is shaping out right now.
Yeah, I agree. So that's why I don't know. I just needed a change, slow down. Like I said, I was going through some things within my life, some personal things as well, where it just forced me to make a decision, and that's what I did. So yeah.
Yeah. And that's good. So you have decision making skills, you're understanding what you need to do for yourself to change your environment. And again, even though you're 19, this is more so to connect back to people listening. These are issues that we are facing in our 30s and 20s. So, like, to me, on one side, it's like I'm sad that you're having to experience that. But on the other side, it's good because you'll be able to navigate things
Yeah.
like effectively or quickly, but you'll be able to navigate things differently than what you would have if you hadn't experienced that stuff.
Yeah, I agree too. So, yeah, I agree.
The world's an interesting place, and everybody's journey is their own journey, which is what
Yep.
makes it so unique and why I love talking to people of different ages, different backgrounds, different education levels, different everything, because I
Yeah.
don't know if people would think that if you don't work with teens all the time, which I do, so I understand it, but an average person, I don't know if they would think that this is what is happening with teens these days.
Yeah. And then they
Yeah.
wonder like, "Oh my god, they doing all this crazy stuff." Not saying like, it's an excuse, but like this is why some teens lead to doing this or going a
Hmm.
wrong way because they don't have a good support system or they don't have someone telling them like there's a better way than this. Let me help you. Let me hold your
Yeah.
hand. Let me da da da. Like they don't have that. So that's why they resort to the things that we don't like or we
Yeah.
don't like to see them doing, but it's just that
Yeah.
that's just what's happening in their life and that's their only outlet or something. So yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. And how do you view the world of work? Like, what do you feel like work should look like? Because this is a big hot topic of like millennials and Gen Z don't want to work anymore. Gen Z, there actually was an article, I can't remember the exact title or headline, but it basically was saying that Gen Z, people in the Gen Z population are getting fired from jobs quicker because
Yeah.
they, like, I'm gonna find it while we're talking, but it's like basically something about like they're not acclimating to like the world of work and the culture of work well.
So I feel like I have a different view on work only because of um I like money. So with that
You're like,
being
I need to
said,
make money.
I feel like I feel like work is work. Like you work to make money, right? And I've been working since I was 16, so like I like to make money, like I like to hustle, like I like to do whatever it takes cuz I like to buy things for myself and it's on a third. So when it comes to like having a job, I feel like it's very imperative to follow those jobs rules and stuff because if you like money, then you need to make sure you're doing what you're doing to have that job. Yes, sometimes bosses can be doing the most and saying this, then that's not the job for you. You could find another one, but the way you carry yourself throughout that job means a lot. So like I've had a lot of
Yeah,
like hardship with jobs where the manager was asking too much of me and I was only 16 and it's like you expect a 16-year-old to close the store down by herself and teach somebody else the rules of the store and I've been only here 2 weeks, things like that. And like I decided to quit that job, but if it's not for you then quit. Don't get fired and have a bad name for yourself, you know? So that's how I
yes.
feel about the work world. Like there's jobs out here but I just feel like they don't take it serious and it's like you using they using you to work and you using them for money. I mean, it's a win-win. Just do your thing, okay? Like, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And what do you see as your dream job right now?
As my dream job, I see myself as a social worker, helping the youth, helping the teens, because I know how it is, and just being a listening ear. Yeah, that's where I see myself.
No, it's good. You're gonna be great at that. And
Thank you.
with the way, again, the world has gone, Gen Z versus millennials versus boomers versus all the generations, what do you want people to know about Gen Z and how you're navigating the world? Obviously, you're not the
That
spokesperson for everybody, but from your
I know
perspective, how do you feel about that?
that we're changing the world. I just feel like those old school ways, they out the door. I'm sorry, grandma. I'm just like, I'm sorry, grandma and grandpa, but the old school ways are out the door. Like, um, we starting to speak up for ourselves and things that need to be talked about, like mental health, like suicide, like autism awareness, like all these things that should have been spoken about, they are now. And I know some, I forgot which generation, but they like to call our generation like sensitive and stuff. But I just feel like they just speaking up for what they want, and I just really love our generation. Like they just don't understand. Like, oh, you always on the phone, you always on the TikTok and the Instagram and all
The
this,
TikTok.
but but I get to tell my grandkid we was in a TikTok era. They was making money off of a app. Y'all had to go to the workplace to make money. They was making money from home. So like I just feel like they just gotta understand that it's a new era. Like get with it or don't talk about it. Like, but don't hate on us though. Don't hate on us. We making a way
Yeah,
for
no, that's a
ourselves
good
and
way.
like yeah. Huh?
I know that's a good way to put it. That like we're just evolving, and some of the stuff can be a little crazy, but it's not bad. And I think that millennials to me are in a unique place because we can connect with Gen Z, but we also can connect with I feel like it's not boomers, Gen X. It's boomers, then Gen
Yeah.
X, then millennials, then Gen Z. We're in a weird place because we can connect with both depending on like where you fell in your birth year. But I feel like Gen Z is repeating a lot of millennial trends, and then you
Hmm.
all think it's new, and we're like,
Yeah.
no, this has been around.
Been
This
here.
has been around.
Been
We died
here.
out. Like a lot of stuff's
Been
coming back in
existing.
style that was from millennials, and that's no problem. But millennials and Gen Z are like pinned against each other so much that it's like, don't try to steal our stuff and then be
Yeah.
like,
Or
oh,
at least give
well,
us credit. Like I get what you yeah, I get what that
exactly.
I get what you're saying with that one. Like streetwear, like a lot of baggy clothes are
Yeah,
coming back in
clothing,
style. A
shoes,
lot of the
like
hairstyles
nostalgic
as
stuff.
well. Yeah, so
Exactly.
I get that. And a lot of people they're trying to well, nah, I was about to say like they try to like, the music, but not really. They just do a lot of remixes. So
Yeah,
yeah.
music, I feel like hasn't necessarily repeated itself yet. It's just a lot of artists are sampling older songs from like 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to me sometimes that an early 2000s song is sampled now, but it is like 24 years old. But
Yeah, that's crazy. You're right. You're right.
yeah, because it seems like that was recent and it really wasn't that recent at all because 24 years is a while ago.
Yeah.
So yes. And how do you picture being an adult should go? We talked about how you think work should go. How do you think being an adult should go? Like, what's I don't say perfect. What is your just your idea of an adult that's
So
doing decent in the world?
so my idea of an adult, like how I want to be as an adult is like um all my bills are paid, but I'm still a kid at heart. Like I still have my like I'm still myself. Like just because like I'm an adult doesn't change like I like to be goofy and I like to this kind of thing. Like I feel like a lot of adults like "Oh, I'm an adult." Like, girl, like I don't know. I just feel like yeah, it's just like I'm just a kid with money. I'm just a kid that know how to manage money like literally. So that's my vision
Yeah,
of an adult. Like I'm just doing all my adult responsibilities but not forgetting like my inner child type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like not forgetting that I
yes,
like
I
to go
do.
swimming and I like to play tag and I'm gonna go play with the kids. I was like not like that, but I'm gonna play with my sisters and like just stuff
Yeah,
like that and I'm gonna still have fun and I'm not gonna forget that I like to be goofy, so I'll be in a goofy adult. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
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 me.
my vision to still have fun.
Yeah, no, that is me for sure. I do feel like hobbies for millennials are coming back around for older 30s and up millennials because I don't know. I just think that the unique thing about us too is like we grew up in the time with no technology or no cell
Yeah.
phones, no Wi-Fi. Like it was crazy. I said to I forgot what I said to one of my students. I think it was about Wi-Fi or that we didn't
Mhm.
have something. And they were like, "What?" I was like, "Okay, it's not that far-fetched like that we didn't have it. Please calm
No.
down everybody. Please." And one of my schools I went into to do a presentation, like it was middle school students. We were talking about
Mhm.
something. And they were like, "How old are you?" Because my mom is this old. So like you talking about that sounds like you're in her age range. I said, "Okay,
Oh
please."
my
The
gosh.
floor.
Look, Imma tell you, we just had the Hurricane Helen, right? The power
Yes.
went out. So I'm like, "Wait, I'm from the north, so our power don't go out. Like, like, it don't go out. Okay, the
It
power
had to
went
be a
out.
real
Okay, cool,
serious
cool."
storm for it to go out.
Exactly. And so here it's like, oh, one raindrop to you done. So the power went out. I'm like, okay, cool. My devices are charged. I have data. I have cellular service. The cellular service went out. I had no
And
bar.
Wi-Fi's gone with no electricity. There's no Wi-Fi.
Yes, and like I can't even make a call if I wanted to. I was like, oh my god, I don't know what to like. I really was like, really, I was really about to crash out. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like, and like that's kind of sad, but hey, that's the generation I
I
live
will
in. Oh
say,
well.
and this makes me sound old, and I always say this so many times that I sound old or whatever, but I do think that that is an issue in society that Gen Z cannot feel disconnected by technology or phones, like because you just don't know what to do because everything's on the phone. Like that's not good.
Exactly. I agree. So I was just like, dang, you gotta get it together. But then again, it's like, okay, I have this podcast that I'm working on. Oh, yeah, I could work on my podcast. Oh wait, I forgot
You
this role.
can't do
You know,
nothing, nothing. You better get a paper and pen out and start writing.
like so yeah, that's my thing on having a phone and stuff. So oh,
How old were you when
I'll
you
work
got a
on it.
cell phone?
I was 9.
Yeah, that's so early. I was like in well, again, also cell phones. Not they okay, cell phones were a thing. Like people had cell phones. They had the Nokia, the little box ones with the
Mm-hmm.
snakes, or they had a flip phone. But I didn't get a phone until I think it was eighth or ninth grade. So I had to be like 13,
What?
14. And
Oh no.
and it was like a prepaid phone. And then I finally got a sidekick as my first phone in I guess it was in my senior year of high school, junior year, senior year of high school. I got a sidekick because I really wanted one. And then
Mm-hmm.
I went through like Blackberries. I had a Blackberry. Then I had a Samsung Galaxy, like the first ones. And then I
Yeah.
finally transitioned to iPhone. And then I've just had iPhones ever since.
Ever since. Yeah, like I had before I got a phone, I had like the iPod Touch where like,
Yeah.
it was like the phone, but yeah, that's what I had. I think I was like,
Okay,
um,
at least you were around for the iPod era because at this point, people are like, iPods, like what? It's like,
oh
why did
no,
you
I
have that?
know. 2000, I'm 2005, so like that stuff, everything was still developing. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah. So we kind of like you guys, y'all had the technology. You guys had the technology like with the phones and stuff, like the old school phones. But
We
then
had the
I like
struggle
my
technology.
right, but then my generation, like we actually grew up, like we really, well, yeah, like we actually, I'm not even gonna say my generation, 2004, 2005, 2006, babies, they all saw like, okay, we went from here to here, like we see the come up
Yeah.
on the technology. So I feel like that's the
Yeah.
difference. Like we're like actually in that era of it changing before our eyes. Like
Yeah.
y'all see it, but we like living it type. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you also didn't have to do the struggle because we used to have be carrying
yeah,
around.
no,
Again, this is crazy. Who would have thought we're at this point where we're like, we used to do this back in the day, but we
exactly.
had
And I'm
like
trying to
this
think like.
players.
I'm trying to think like what are we gonna say we used to do back in the day? Like how advanced can technology get to the point where we're like, oh yeah, remember we was using Riverside for podcasts and now like I need to see that. Oh, I
Yeah,
can't wait to see
that's
that.
that's a good question because I'm thinking about like what I was gonna say is like we had like the actual CD player. I don't know if you've ever seen one like a portable CD player you had to carry around. It was
Oh
like
yeah,
this
I
big.
know. Yeah.
Anybody
Uh-huh.
on listening that's not on video, I'm trying to make out how big this thing was. You had to put it in your pocket or your book bag and then put the headphone wire through it. It was a
Oh no,
crazy
I
ride.
don't know that. I thought you were just talking about the little portable thing. Okay, never mind.
No, this is
Or
like
the
an I.
DVDs.
No, think about it as like if you it was an iPod, like that's what you were doing with it, but it's literally like this big circle. Like it's about as big of a bagel as or
Mm-hmm.
maybe bigger than that.
Or I just or
Said
Or like
no.
DVDs. I know the DVD era. Like now we just got Netflix and like who use
Yes.
DVDs? Like so those guys on the streets. I'm sorry y'all, but selling y'all CDs not gonna cut it. You need to go on Spotify. No, let me. You need to change. I don't need
Give
you
somebody
coming
a
to my
QR
car.
code. A
Right,
QR
like,
code
I
to
don't
get
need
to
you
your
to come into
phone.
my car, "Oh, you want a CD?" "No." Do you have a QR code or a link?"
And
"Nah."
cars don't even have CD players anymore. I remember when I was going to buy my
No!
car in 2017, that was a big thing for me. I still wanted a car with a CD player, and people were like, "Why?" I was like, "Because sometimes I listen to my CDs. Like, let me rock."
Yeah. So did you get it?
Yes, I got a car with a CD
Oh,
player
okay, good,
in
good.
it. Yes. I haven't
Oh,
listened
okay,
to a
good.
CD in there in so long though, but I do have a CD player in my car.
Well, you gotta run it back just for the sake of this conversation.
And I have the whole booklet of CDs too. I still have
Oh
all the
my
CDs my
god.
friend burned for me in the early 2000s, and then some of them start scratching, and that's just, what it is. You can't do anything about it now.
Yeah. Well, at least you lived in that era, like, at least you could live to tell the tale.
But that is still a good question of like what will be the thing in the next 20 years that we're like, oh my God, remember when we had this? Because it does seem like everything is super advanced now. Like the iPhone is on 16, we have AI,
But
Chat GPT.
okay, that's what I want to talk about. AI, Chat GPT, like, okay, new iPhone 16, they just made a new camera, everything else the same. But the Chat GPT and the AI, like, you mean to tell me all I gotta do is say this is what I'm thinking about? Can you make a plan for me? And like, there should be no excuse as to why people like don't know. Like, I'm really thinking like, what did I do before this? Like, honestly, like, I don't. I mean,
Yeah.
I could. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's no like they say it's gonna take over the future and stuff. I mean, like, it's gonna take over like classes and like college and stuff.
Hmm.
But I was just watching this TikTok and they was like, no, it's not gonna take over. It's just gonna help you learn how to get that job, how to build that business, how to like that's
Yeah.
what it is. Cause no, you don't like it's so weird. But ChatGPT I love, so we really have to take advantage of it because I know they're gonna make us start paying for it. I just know.
Oh my
Like
God,
it's
don't
just
speak
such
that
a
to
cool
existence.
resource.
Because if they do, I'm gonna be asking my job, be like, hello, can we pay for this?
Right, like, and then use it for your job and your personal stuff too, because like,
Exactly.
but
Because
I
no,
just
they'll
want to
make us
see how
pay.
far it gets. Like, what else? Because so I was watching this other lady that she made content. She was like had this AI thing where she literally like she was talking like you and I, but she was talking about um like the stuff she had to get done for the day, and it made a plan for her on the side. Like, all right, this is what you need to do. Or like for the podcast, I put it in Opus Clips or CapCut. It make the short videos for me.
Hmm.
I ain't gotta do that. Like that's what I'm saying. Like okay, so whatever you want to get done, you could get done with the help of AI. Like you just sit back and do it for
Yeah.
you. And you post. So I just want to see how far it could get, man. Like
Yeah, it is so helpful though. I think that the thing is you still have to have some level of skill or knowledge to certain things that you're doing in it because
yeah,
yes, people are using it for school or they're using it for like work, but if you can't actually talk about what it was that you looked up, that's a problem.
yeah, that's yeah. You're right. You're right. But it's
Because
gonna
you're gonna
make.
put
I
like
just
this whole 10-page paper, and then your professor's like, "Oh, tell me about this," and you're like, "Let me go back and look. Like, what are you talking about?" That's not gonna be good.
that's why, like, if I was to do a paper or something, right? Like, one time I wrote a paper, and then I'll ask ChatGPT, like, "Well, can you tell me how this paper sounds? Like, what is?" And it was like, "Okay, well, you need to add this detail here. You need to blah blah blah."
And
Like,
that's
I would use
different.
it for
That's a good
that,
way to use it.
or like I would like when I curate like podcast questions, I would just say like, "Are these questions good? Can you make them better for me, or can you do this?" Or just I just ask like, "Can you add on to what I already have?" Because
Hmm.
technically, I mean, it's not really cheating if I wrote it down already. All y'all
No,
have
I
like
agree. I agree. I agree with
technically.
that.
So yeah. So yeah, that I love ChatGPT. I love AI. Shout out to them. Like he was onto something like. And the thing is, like, we had the Alexas, we had the Siris, we had the Googles and all this. Like, okay, yeah. It I mean, it just went to certain apps. But now I can ask you, can you do this? And you gonna tell me exactly what to do and how
Yeah.
to get it done and when? Oh.
It is a little scary how it pulls so much information though, because the first big like time I was hearing about AI because my sister works in cybersecurity. She was telling me about it, and she's like, "Oh, you need to use it for work because like it helps you pull information and like write stuff, and like you do a lot
Hmm.
of like creating and content and just giving out knowledge, so it can help you write it." And I was like, "What?
Yeah.
This sounds crazy." she had put in like her name and to write a bio and like pull information, like because you can say like write my name, pull all information about my career history and create a bio for whatever.
Oh, it
The
did
bio
that?
that I made for her, yeah, it was amazing. And so then she sent me mine and I was like, this is wild that it's pulling all this stuff from the internet
Yeah.
to make my bio. I mean, granted, yes, I do use the pieces from that bio and my whole Adults and Queens slide deck I made from AI, like putting together the language and stuff for me because I needed to
Yeah.
copy and paste it over for different things. But that's where got me on it because initially I was like, this sounds weird. I don't want to do it. But when my sister kept showing me, I was like, okay,
Different
let me
ways
get
you
on
can
board.
use it. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's definitely going to change the world, and it's just all about how the user uses it, you know? Like,
Yeah.
there's this
And
like
also
one
what you're
essay.
putting out there for it to like capture because for the
Yeah.
adults and queen specifically, I'll say put it in the tone of the adults and queen from what you pulled online. So it sounds exactly like me, which is a little scary in some ways, but it sounds like me who I wrote it. Like it doesn't sound too far off.
Yeah, that's good. We had to study in school, and it was like, is Google making us dumb or what? Like, that was like the essay, and it's like, but Google, when Google first arrived, and it's like, no, it's not making us dumb, but it's the person on how they use it, and that just stuck with me because it's like we have all these tools, but it's how you using it. Are you using it to cheat, or are you using it to better your knowledge? Like, what are your goals with it? What are you
Exactly.
trying to accomplish? What are you doing? Like, so I feel like it's all
Yeah.
about how the user uses it. So yeah.
No, for sure. We had asked Jeeves before Google. Mr. Jeeves was on there on the internet. And I'm kind of like trying to remember how did we even just like start knowing to like use Ask Jeeves? I kind of feel like we probably
Mhm.
just typed something in a browser like you would do now and then it pulls up Google. Probably just pulled up Ask Jeeves and then that was it.
So it's like Chat GPT.
No, it was like Google, but it was called Ask Jeeves, and it was like this
Oh,
little man
okay.
popped up on there, and you just ask whatever question and Google whatever you need to. Well, not Google, search whatever you needed to
Yeah.
do. And I found that article link. It was called
Oh,
"Bosses Are Firing Gen Z Grads Just Months After Hiring Them. Here's what they say needs to change." And it's saying that Gen Z grads. This is just the bolded text that I'm pulling out as I scroll. It says Gen Z grads are unprepared and unprofessional. They want to be more hire. If you want to be more hireable, question mark, attitude is everything.
right. Yeah.
Um, and it says that today's young people lack motivation or initiative, and they are unorganized, having poor communication skills. Which on the communication skills part, I for sure see that at work. Like people will know when they're supposed to be somewhere and you never hear from them. It'll be days
Yeah.
later and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, like this came up." And at that point I'm like, I don't actually care because it was supposed to be 4 days ago at this date
Yeah.
and time that you
And
were
you
supposed to do
still
what you
didn't
said you were going to
comply.
do.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
With that, I just feel like that stems from home. I just feel like that stems from home because no way you're not up to date with your stuff. Like, what are you doing in La La Land? Like, so yeah, I feel like a lot of these things with Gen Z stems from home. A lot of
Yeah, I mean, I think that's with everybody for sure. Everything stems from home. And this is the issue in society is that the cycle of stuff is that you're born into a home, a family, guardians, whoever that are operating with whatever it is that they know and they're operating based on that because of their parents or guardians or family or whoever and it just keeps
yeah,
going back and back and back. But then it's like your example of saying like I wanted to go to college but nobody in my family's done this before so it was a little difficult because nobody else knew and it's not their fault
hmm
they didn't know but we shame people into why don't you know this or like how dare you not be able to help me but you can only help somebody within your knowledge and capacity like they can guide
yeah,
you like you said
exactly,
you can have supportive people being like Jaelyn, you got this, you could do it. Like I'm here to help how I can, but I didn't go to college, so I can't do X, Y, and Z. But when you
right,
find out, let me know. We'll work together on it. Like that's how
yeah,
I feel like things should be. But I feel like as you continue to get older, and just unfortunately sometimes adults fail you, or you see adults like do things that you're just like, why would you do that? Like, I never want to be like that. It just
Yeah.
presents all these emotions and feelings in you, and then you're growing, you're learning, you're trying to navigate through life, and then you're just like, how did it get like this? Or why is it like this? And then why are those people that I've seen through my life not changing? Or why are they like still stuck in this ways? But
Mhm.
they're just working off of what they know and where they're at, and their outside factors that are tying into like all the things.
Yeah, and I feel like like to piggyback off what I had said earlier when I was talking about like how I envision myself being an adult. When people like, oh no, I'm an adult. I don't that right there. When people have that like stuck up attitude about being an adult, it's like they're like perfect, right? So growing
Nothing
up,
is
you
great over here, so there's nothing, no reason to be boasted about you're an adult. Let me tell
yeah,
you, like,
that's what they say. So they have so growing up, it's like, oh well, they're an adult, so it's like so as Gen Z, as like young kids coming up, it's like, oh well, when you're an adult, like you're looking up to these people and like you're doing this, so they can't do no wrong, and it's like they don't make no mistakes because they're an adult. But now it's oh yeah, adults make mistakes too. So when was y'all gonna tell us this in our youth? Like we supposed to be looking up
yeah,
to y'all, but yet it's like, oh you like don't picture it to be perfect and like well when you're an adult you can do like no like tell it what it is, so now I know what exactly to look forward to, like I know okay it's okay to make a mistake.
yeah, yes,
I learned that it
exactly.
was okay to make a mistake last year, like you know what I'm saying, so it's just like
Yeah, yeah,
just stuff like that, like yeah I'm gonna you like just changing the stigma around being an adult because I just feel like a lot of adults they take that to heart like baby I'm an adult, I'm grown, like
yeah.
yeah
I
that I'm
don't.
grown.
And I always tell my students, or just anybody I really talk to, but I feel like sometimes it just resonates more with young people because you are still developing and learning and growing, and every adult does not have that mindset, or it takes
Mhm.
like a huge shift for something that they have going on to make them realize they need to change something. But anytime I
Yeah,
talk to my students, I'm just like, I'm learning from you just as you're learning from me. So, yes,
and
I'm the adult here. I'm the person that you're looking to, but you can correct me. You can tell me a better way to do something, or you can suggest something. I'm not going to be like, don't do that. Like, I'm the person in
yeah,
charge. I don't want to be in charge. Actually, I'm just here to make my money. Like you said, we're here to make our money and go home.
exactly,
I just
that's
happen to really
it,
like my job and care. So, like, here I am.
and it's gonna be fun, but like you said, that's what I really appreciate about like just knowing myself and like being around certain adults who like yeah they're an adult but they still like to have fun, they still like to like just be an adult doesn't mean oh that's it. So I appreciate what you said, like we learning from each other and I feel like that's beautiful because um people you the people in their youth, hold on, our generation like you were saying they get looked down on, whatever. You know what I mean?
No, no, yeah, 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 yeah.
People tend to look down on us. I forgot what I was about to say. Oh my god. Oh yeah, they tend to look down on us because we're young. Because this is like, girl, you young, you don't know nothing. Like, but I
And they
know
were
some
young
things. I
once
don't know
too,
a
and you
lot.
didn't know anything either. So I'm confused. Where do we
Like,
forget where
I
we
don't
came
know a
from?
lot, but I know I could teach you how to use Google Docs. Oh, okay then. Like, okay, and you could teach me how to cook. All right, okay. Now,
Yes, we have
like,
a mutual exchange.
come on, you can learn from me just as I could learn from you. So I feel like that's beautiful that you acknowledge that we should acknowledge that we could learn from each other despite the age gap, despite you grew up here, I grew up there, despite I went to college, you still in high school, like despite all of that. So yeah.
Yeah. And one thing on TikTok I had saw, just because a lot of people are posting like the content that does well on TikTok is babies, couples, pets, and then like super like niche or somebody doing the same thing over and over again. But people
Yeah.
that posted babies or kids that speak really well, and they're not necessarily speaking in like baby language, the people always comment saying that it's because they talk to them like they're a regular person. I'm not
Oh
saying don't
yeah.
talk to your baby like all cute and stuff, but talking to them like a regular person
Yeah.
helps them to just develop like
More.
skills and things and
My
understand.
sister my mom, in 2018, my mom had my sister, right? And she was like, guys, like, we're not gonna talk to her in baby talk. Like, we're gonna just talk to her regular. We did. That girl be saying some words. She's 6 now, but she have vocabulary like me, and I'm just like, oh my god. So it is true. It is so
Exactly.
true. Like, she be saying words, and I just be like, what? How you know that word?
Yeah,
And
no,
then
I
she
do
used it
like
in the
talking to
right
my god friends.
context too. Like the right context. I was like, so yeah,
You're
that's
like,
true.
how did
That's
you
so
do
true.
that? But kids will talk. I was just going into my office one day last week, and there's like a dance class or something that happened downstairs. Like towards the end of the day, and it's like kids. They were like pretty young. They had to have been like 6, 7, and under maybe. And I'm just going to walk to the bathroom, and the girl was just like, "I'm here waiting for my friends." And I was like, "Okay, thank you for letting me know." Like I said nothing to her. I was just trying to go to the bathroom. But kids will talk and keep
She
going.
thought you was about to tell her, go back to class, guys. It's no
No,
more
I was
here.
just walking, minding my business, but she wanted me to let me to what she wanted to let me in on her business because she made sure I knew where she was going. And then talk about your podcast. That's what we didn't get to, and that will be the last piece here. You have a podcast. What is it about? How can they find it? How are you looking for guests? All the things about the podcast. This is your time to shine with the podcast.
Okay, so my podcast is called What You Working With, and what I do is I find different people with different backgrounds and different careers in hopes to just learn about their career. If you're like a youth, if you're a youth, what is up with me and you? If you're a teenager or a college
I
student
mean, that is the youth
and you,
still.
hmm? Yeah,
I said that is the
or
youth
you
still.
or you in elementary school or you're 30 years old, it doesn't matter. If you just like to learn or you would like to learn more about different careers because you're tired of seeing the 5 core jobs, that's what my podcast is giving. Yes, I'm fairly new. I started in April, so I don't have too many careers on there, but I do have some careers that you didn't know about and I didn't either. So, it's a pretty cool podcast, and my Instagram is what you working with. That's WHATCHUWORKIN dot underscore. And if you're interested, you could just send me a DM, and that's pretty much it. I would love the more guests, the better, so I could brush up on my interviewing skills and
Yes.
learn more about your job, of course, and
Yeah.
just to help those kids out there. And I'm also on TikTok if you would like to see any clips, and same thing with Instagram as well. And I'm on Spotify and YouTube.
Yes. Worldwide, everywhere, basically.
Yep. So I really hope to like get some guests because I don't know. I like meeting new people, and this platform is letting me meet people all over the world. Well,
Yeah.
all
How
over
have
the
you found your guests? I think we met through Threads, but how have
yeah.
you gotten your guests on there?
So I just put out like, hey, I'm looking for a clinical psychologist to interview,
Gotcha.
and somebody will swipe up and say, oh, I'm interested. Or one time, I think this is how we met, but I think I was like, I have a podcast. I would love to interview you if you have a career or something. And like, I got a whole bunch of views, and I just been like texting those people and like, hey, would you like to schedule an interview? And the thing is, I was like, I started to get nervous because I'm like, oh my god, like these adults, they're like wanting to like interview with me, they want to work with
Ah,
me, like they
yeah.
want to be on my podcast. Like, so I was just like, oh my gosh, like they like it just came to a point. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm really talking to people who really have careers, like not just like, so it was really cool to know that like they're giving me a chance, like they're giving me a
Yeah.
chance, they're taking the time out their day to hop on my podcast. So I like I said, I've tried not to be like the rest of the Gen Z where they unorganized, but I try to hit them up like, here's the email, here's this today, are we still on? Like I try to be up to date because once again, like they still got lives, they got their careers. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're doing great because even from your communication and everything too, like you did text, you emailed, all that stuff. And even for mine, I feel the same way, even though this is season 2.
Hmm.
But even before the podcast, doing it on Zoom, it was still
Yeah.
similar of like reaching out to people, make sure they understand and making sure what's clear. And I feel like the
Yeah.
easiest thing is to like copy and paste the same stuff every time to people. So you're also just creating it as a habit.
Yeah.
Because it was super hard for me in the beginning to like get it standardized, but now I literally just like copy from email to email and send it out to
Yup.
people.
Same thing.
And even when I've had my friends on, they're like, "Oh, I'll text you." I'm like, "No, no, give me the email because I'm sending you a
Yeah.
formal email." Like that was hard for me too because not that I don't trust that my friend's gonna come on, but I feel like if I broke that habit of doing it, like then the next person I would forget. So I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
friend,
You
give me
got to
your
stick
email.
to
I'm
the
gonna email you."
schedule.
If they
Yeah.
miss their time, they're not coming on either. Like I keep the same standards for the podcast across the board.
Yeah, that's good. That's what I'm trying to do too, cause they got jobs too. So I'm like, hey, what's up? What you doing? Let me da da da. So yeah, I agree. Just trying to keep the same thing. So we use a Riverside. We're not gonna use FaceTime. No, I can't screen record it. I'm sorry. Nah, like
You
so
know,
yeah.
the Read podcast, I listen to the Read. I think that they do FaceTime record. I'm not positive, but I know in some of their episodes, because they don't do um why the heck did I just forget the word? Video. They don't do video podcasts. They only do audio. But I know
Okay.
that sometimes they've mentioned like, oh, they hit mute by accident on FaceTime or like if you saw like what they were looking like or whatever. So I think that they do FaceTime, but I don't know how you would transfer all that over. That sounds like a lot.
Oh, because
But
so like when I was back at Essex, like we had a studio. And so like how I was doing my podcast previously was like I would just like call people up and be like, "What's up? Welcome to Bing Bang Boom." So maybe they had like a system studio where like
oh
they were able to connect their phone because like I was able to connect my phone through
mm,
the Bluetooth and then from there like anything would play. So we could do a FaceTime call. We could do that. So maybe they have like
look, they're learning something new. Look,
yeah.
see, I don't know
Yep.
because they were saying, I'm like, that doesn't. I can't compute in my brain. How are you doing that? But Riverside's good to me right now, so I enjoy it.
Yeah, me too, me too. I'm not gonna lie, like with the podcast, and this is just like for beginners because I know like I'm a beginner, so it's hard work and I'm trying to get
Well,
out my shell as
yes,
far as like talking this is your show, so I'm comfortable. We talking, we chatting, but when it's my show, I'm like stuck up, very rigid, like, okay, and what and it's just like, oh my gosh. So I'm just trying to learn to be like loose, still have good energy and stuff like that. So it's
yeah,
definitely an adjustment, especially on like this platform because I'm used to in person. I was one of
yeah.
the kids. I hated quarantine, so this is just giving me Zoom vibes. Like
Oh
not
yeah,
this show. I mean, not right now. But I'm just saying, like, just using Riverside for
being
my
on
show.
here.
It's
Yeah.
definitely an adjustment, but I just want to let everybody know that podcasting isn't easy at all.
Oh, just no. And that's why, like, for me, I was like, when I start doing the podcast, like in the official podcast form, I need to be consistent because I would hate when, like, no shade to anybody I know that started one, but they're like, oh my God, I'm going to start a podcast. And then, like, they don't keep up with it because, one, if you get into it and then you're like, hello, where did it go? But then, two, for just my brand and stuff, like, I feel like a podcast is a great way for it to continue growing because it can reach people anywhere, and the way
Yeah,
people light up when I tell them I have a podcast is crazy to me. I'm like, what is the not the fad with podcasts, but people just get very excited when you tell them that
yeah.
you have a podcast.
I need to start doing that. I'd be shy. I'd be like, they be like, oh, you like, I don't know. I
No, I
just
tell anybody and everybody that will listen now. I mean, I was definitely like that at first too with the Adulting Queen, but now it's like if you don't talk about it, nobody will. And then the other thing that I saw somewhere, I don't remember the exact like quote and everything, but it was like it takes somebody like 10 times of seeing something over and over for them to actually like grasp it or get it. And you can see that when you're swiping and scrolling on Instagram, like you're not retaining anything you're seeing. You're just like, oh, that looks cute. Like, oh, cool. Send this to my friend because this is funny. Like, oh, I'll repost
yeah.
this on my story. But you're not retaining any information from that or remembering something from that.
Until you see it like a couple of times, then like, oh, okay. So yeah, I get that
Exactly.
too. That's why I've been trying to post consistently, like with the shorts. Just keep posting, keep posting, keep posting. If it gets 0 likes, like right now, I'm like my podcast, like my latest episode, it got 0 plays.
What episode? I'm about to go listen. I'm about to run it because that's crazy to me.
It's the social worker one, right? And so like to somebody who's just starting out, it would be like heartbreaking, like, dang, nobody played it. But that episode means so much to me because I want to be a social worker that it's okay if they ain't listen because I learned a lot from that episode. So if they didn't listen, it's fine. But I know I learned it because that's something that I really want to do. So
Yeah.
that's how I had to look at it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just
And the
going I'm
good
just
thing
gonna
about
keep pushing it
podcasts
out.
too is that it's always on there. Like, so 10 years from now, somebody that wants to be a social worker can still go back and look at that
Exactly.
podcast episode. So
So I'm just like, I'm just still gonna put it out there. Like same with you, we're just gonna keep pushing it out, keep pushing it out. And during this
do the
time,
best we can do.
I'm growing as well because like I said, like I have this energy now, but on my show I don't have this energy, and I got to get this energy back because this is what I had previously. So it's still a learning process. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, I want people to listen, but that's not the authentic Jaelyn. Like that's the Jaelyn trying to figure out how to be herself on Riverside. That they don't want to
Yes.
listen to that. I'm like, they don't want to listen to that Jaelyn yet. We gotta wait for the good Jaelyn to come. So I'm just trying to remind myself like it's gonna come in steps. It's
Yeah.
gonna do this. So yeah.
I will say, and I was gonna mention before too, like to challenge yourself to be yourself. Because I mean, I for sure feel that way, especially when I'm working and talking to different people. It's always a different vibe, and I sometimes can go off of the person's vibe. Like, not that
Yes.
I've never had a bad guest, thankfully, at all, but it's just
That's
like
good.
you kind of reading off their vibe, and then even just based on your day. Like for me, I went straight from work, a busy, crazy day, straight to this episode. And even last episode I recorded, same thing. It was a crazy day at work, went straight to recording
Hmm.
2 episodes. I'm like, every time I show up, I might not sound the same or be the
Hmm.
same, but I still came and recorded the podcast. And that's just
Exactly,
the
and that's
goal
all that
to
matters.
record the podcast.
It's like that's all that matters. Literally, like that's how I felt yesterday. I wasn't feeling the best, so I was like, I still got to record, and I did it. So oh well. Hey,
Yeah, that's
look,
why for
good
me,
thing.
said,
I said, good
yes,
thing
that's why
we
I
are
said that
in.
Thursday's the same day. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, 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 it's okay. I was saying, good thing like we have good energy. So like, even though today was like, ooh, it's good energy. So like, it's just everything just keep
Exactly.
rolling. Yeah.
And
So
that's the
yeah.
good part, that like recording the podcast is always fun. It's just getting me to actually do it. But now another thing that I finally did was I set one day that I'm recording, and so it's Thursdays. But I honestly might consider changing it because these Thursdays have been wild. So I
Yeah,
just need to figure out the one day that I can like block off at least 4 hours to record, and then that would be fine, and I'll be good.
that'll be it, and that'll be like your next. Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Exactly.
Look, see, like you got a plan.
Yeah. But again, thank you so much for being here. Let them know where they can find you on all social media again, and any other things that you want to say before you head out.
All right, so you guys can find me on Instagram and TikTok at what you working with dot underscore, and just keep staying yourself, guys. And thank you for having me on the show, Amber. I feel so like, oh my god, I feel so good.
Yeah, tell your
And
friends because we need more
yeah,
Gen Z listeners too. The podcast is for Gen Z and millennials, but our listener base is millennials, and there's actually some Gen X listeners too from the analytics. But we need some more Gen Z coming on because this is good
okay.
for them.
I'll see who's a great candidate for you. Now,
Thank you.
okay, I'll see. I'll go through my list, but for sure, I'll definitely because I understand, and this is just a good outlet just to honestly to vent about like how it is growing up and adulting and what you think. So I really love this platform. So yeah, I'm a hit my friends up like, yo,
Yeah,
you trying to join it? So yeah, I'm gonna
thank you
do
very
that.
much.
And yes, thank you so much, and thank
Yes,
you
of
guys for
course.
watching.